Let's flip the script for a moment. You always hear dating advice for men. How to be confident, how to lead, how to build attraction. But what if we talked about the things women need to understand if they want to truly connect with a high-value man? What if we stopped sugarcoating and started being real about what actually earns respect, loyalty, and long-term desire? Because here's the truth. A lot of women are struggling in dating, not because they lack beauty, intelligence, or success, but because they don't understand men. They don't understand what men value long-term, what makes them commit, and what quietly turns them off, even when they never say it out loud. So if you're a woman who wants a real man, not a boy, not a placeholder, but a man of purpose and value, this message is for you. Here are 6 brutally honest principles that will elevate your dating life and change how men see you forever. There's a major difference between what gets a man's attention and what earns his devotion. Beauty will always be noticed first. It's visual, instant, and powerful. But it's not enough to keep a man interested, especially one who has options. High-value men aren't just drawn to appearances. They're drawn to how a woman makes them feel when she's around. And that's where femininity plays a much deeper role. A truly feminine energy isn't about wearing dresses or speaking softly. It's about being in touch with your emotional world, being receptive instead of controlling, and allowing space for a man to lead without feeling like he's in a power struggle. Men are biologically wired to pursue, to provide, to protect, but only when they feel that their presence is appreciated and welcomed. When a woman operates from her feminine strength, she creates a dynamic that invites connection, not competition. A high-value man doesn't want to fight with his partner for control. He wants someone who can flow with him, not against him. That doesn't mean becoming submissive or silent. It means knowing when to assert and when to soften, how to communicate without attack, and how to trust without losing your own power. Femininity is what makes a woman memorable to a man after the physical attraction fades. It's the softness in your energy, the warmth in your tone, the confidence in your calm. A beautiful face might turn heads, but a feminine presence stays in a man's mind long after she leaves the room. It makes him want to protect, provide, and invest, not just in the moment, but in something real. And if you want more than surface-level attention, you need to offer more than surface-level energy. Femininity is that deeper value, and it's what men truly remember. In today's world, women are constantly told to be independent, strong, and self-sufficient, and that's a good thing. But there's a fine line between healthy independence and emotional unavailability. Many women, in the process of protecting themselves, build walls so high that no one can get through, not even a man who genuinely wants to connect. They confuse vulnerability with weakness and end up pushing away the very connection they say they're looking for. The truth is, independence might attract a man's attention, but it won't keep his heart if there's no emotional access. High-value men don't want to feel like they're dating someone who has already decided she doesn't need them for anything, emotionally, mentally, or even energetically. Men want to feel useful. They want to feel needed, not in a dependent or clingy way, but in a way that lets them show up with value. If a woman always acts like she's fine, that she doesn't need anyone, or that no one can reach her emotionally, a man will eventually stop trying. This is where so many women misunderstand the balance. It's not about giving up your power. It's about knowing when to share your softer side. Real strength is the ability to be both self-reliant and emotionally open. A woman who can communicate her needs, express her feelings, and allow a man to contribute to her life emotionally is rare and unforgettable. She doesn't beg for love, but she doesn't block it either. Emotional walls might make you feel safe in the short term, but they guarantee distance in the long run. Letting someone in requires risk, but it also creates the possibility for real intimacy. And when you learn how to stay open without losing yourself, you become the kind of woman a man not only wants, but fights to keep. Respect is one of the most underrated elements in dating, and yet it's the foundation of lasting attraction, especially for high-value men. Many women focus so heavily on being liked, validated, or admired that they overlook something far more important: being respected. Validation is external and temporary. It comes from compliments, attention, and flattery. But respect is internal and lasting. It comes from how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you handle conflict, and how you honor not just yourself, but the person you're engaging with. Men pay close attention to how you respond to their time, their energy, and their purpose. A man who values himself will not stay in a dynamic where he feels consistently dismissed, belittled, or controlled. You could be stunning, charming, and intelligent, but if you don't show a basic level of respect for who he is and what he stands for, he'll eventually lose interest. Respect doesn't mean agreeing with everything he says or being overly accommodating. It means listening without interrupting, disagreeing without attacking, and recognizing his effort without entitlement. A lot of women don't realize that sarcasm, constant criticism, or emotional games slowly erode a man's desire to stay invested. Respect creates space for trust, for safety, and for growth. It shows maturity and emotional intelligence. When a woman respects herself, she doesn't tolerate being disrespected, but she also doesn't use disrespect as a weapon. And when she respects a man, he feels it in the way she supports his ambitions, honors his boundaries, and appreciates his consistency. If you want a man to take you seriously, make sure you're not just chasing his attention. Earn his respect by showing yours first. That's what turns admiration into commitment. And that's what keeps a high-value man choosing you, not just noticing you. In a world that's constantly noisy, filled with stress, deadlines, distractions, and emotional overload, what a high-value man craves most isn't another source of chaos. It's peace, and peace doesn't come from silence, it comes from presence. A woman who carries a calm, grounded, and emotionally stable energy immediately stands out. Not because she's quiet or reserved, but because she's not reactive, dramatic, or emotionally volatile. Her presence becomes a refuge, not a battlefield. That kind of energy is rare and deeply attractive. When a man walks into a relationship and feels like he can breathe, like he's not constantly defending himself, managing drama, or walking on eggshells, that's when he starts to invest more. He starts to feel safe, not just emotionally, but mentally and spiritually. That safety leads to connection, and that connection builds a deeper kind of desire, one that's not just about physical attraction, but about wanting to build a life together. Being a peaceful presence doesn't mean suppressing emotions or never expressing yourself. It means knowing when to speak and how. It means being self-aware enough to pause before reacting, to choose understanding over escalation, and to create a space where communication feels like a bridge, not a battleground. A woman who can stay composed during tension, who doesn't turn every disagreement into an identity crisis, who listens without planning her defense, becomes a partner, not a problem to manage. Men who are focused, driven, and emotionally mature will not stay where there is constant tension. They'll retreat, even if they like you, because they have too much to lose chasing emotional chaos. But if you can be the calm in a man's storm, he won't just want you, he'll need you. And that's when loyalty, love, and long-term commitment start to grow. Trying to be one of the guys might seem like a smart way to bond with a man, laughing at crude jokes, acting like you don't care, pretending you're just chill and low maintenance. But in reality, it's a mask that hides your authentic value. Men already have guy friends. They don't need a romantic partner who mirrors that energy. What they crave, deep down, is polarity. It's the contrast between masculine and feminine that creates attraction, desire, and emotional spark. When a woman tries to compete with a man, match his masculine edge, or bury her softness just to fit in, she loses the very thing that makes her irresistible. This isn't about limiting yourself or playing into stereotypes. It's about understanding energy dynamics. Masculine energy thrives on direction, focus, and challenge. Feminine energy thrives on expression, feeling, and connection. When a woman embraces that, she becomes a complement, not a competitor. And in a healthy relationship, that dynamic creates balance, not imbalance. Men remember the woman who made them feel more like a man, not because she submitted, but because she radiated something they couldn't replicate anywhere else. Ion. Problem with trying to be too easygoing or emotionless just to avoid being too much is that you end up being forgettable. High-value men don't want a clone of themselves. They want someone who can challenge them emotionally, inspire them creatively, and soften them spiritually. If you're hiding your emotional depth, your nurturing instincts, or your ability to connect on a deeper level, you're cutting off the very part of you that attracts a man who's ready to build something real. You don't need to be one of the guys. You need to be the woman who reminds him what no guy ever can. That real connection only happens when you're true to who you are, not when you're pretending to be someone else. A high-value man isn't looking to complicate his life. He's looking to build a stable one. No matter how attractive, exciting, or charming a woman may be, if her life is filled with emotional chaos, unpredictability, and constant drama, he won't stick around. That's not because he's weak or afraid of emotions. It's because he values peace, direction, and clarity. And if being with someone constantly disrupts that, the cost of the relationship quickly outweighs the benefits. Many women don't realize how deeply men associate emotional peace with long-term potential. A man who's serious about his future doesn't want to spend his time soothing frequent outbursts, guessing your mood, or navigating unnecessary conflict. He doesn't want to feel like he's in survival mode every time there's a disagreement. While movies romanticize the wild, unpredictable woman who keeps him on his toes, reality tells a different story. That kind of emotional instability might attract attention, but it doesn't create lasting relationships. What truly sets a woman apart is her ability to regulate herself, not by suppressing emotions, but by communicating them maturely. A woman who can express her needs without blaming, who can handle stress without projecting, and who can stay grounded even when things don't go her way, becomes a rare gem in a world full of emotional volatility. She becomes someone a man wants to protect, invest in, and build a life with. If you want to attract a man of substance, your life must reflect emotional substance. Constant chaos might make things feel intense, but intensity is not intimacy. Emotional stability, self-awareness, and a peaceful presence are what create real depth. And in a man's mind, peace is not just desirable, it's priceless. The moment he senses it, he sees you differently. And the moment he loses it, he walks away no matter how much he liked you. 2.